Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode about the movies with William Fletcher. As per usual, I am your host, William Fletcher, and this week I am joined, as per usual, by Mr. Harriet Jobson.
Bugger! I was gonna think of something funny, like that whole intro. I'll get it next time.
And okay. And this week this is gonna be part one of a two-part retrospective looking at Star Wars. So this week we're going to be looking at the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and then next week will be Disney Star Wars, because they're all kind of sort of two separate sort of sections of this.
You could argue three, but yeah, I reckon it's like a George Lucas era, and then like a post.
I mean, yeah, there's pre-Disney and then post-Disney.
Yeah, pre-Disney, post-Disney. I do have a question for you. Just your thoughts on like Star Wars as a whole. Like, were you always big into like Star Wars? Because obviously it kind of supersedes any individual. Everyone's like, A New Hope is, Star Wars, but Is there a certain watch order? Is there a certain sort of order you want to talk about the movies in? Do you want to go like episodes 1 to 6, or do you want to do? Actually, fun. Would you? Because it's which way we want to talk about it? Is it also like which way do we personally watch them? I think you and I will be the same. But
I mean, if I was to watch them, I only watched the first two prequels for the purposes of this, just purely because, like, time-wise. If I was to watch them, I'd probably... I mean, the correct way to watch them would be, like, release order.
Yeah, that was kind of the question. It's like, well, what's your correct way to watch them? Because
the correct way would be to do release order, but I might at some point do, like, a chronological order of all the films, but generally speaking, release order is the way to watch them.
I think release order is the only one that does the prequels a lot of justice. Like, at least for the overarching and for like the viewer's experience. My older brother recently watched them all for the first time. No, like we grew up. My mum was a big Star Wars person, so we always like caught them in passing. Like he'd be able to tell you, like Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Princess Leia, R2D2, and Han Solo, because he'd also seen the Family Guy Star Wars films a bunch. But it's similar to me. Like I love those episodes of Family. It's one of my favorite parodies ever. But no, he hadn't seen them, and he recently had never sat down and watched them. He was recently doing it. I had to sort of talk him through and explain why I personally think you need to watch them in release order. And it kind of saves the prequels. I think if you're watching them episodically, like chronologically.
If you do it in chronological order, you kind of ruin the original trilogy.
Yeah. There's a good way to put it. It has a way bigger influence than people sort of.
I know someone who I used to work with, and he had never seen Star Wars, ever. Yeah. So I think his introduction to Star Wars would have been The Mandalorian, which that's fair, to be honest.
That is a modern
Because, season 1 definitely works if you haven't seen any of the Star Wars. Seasons 2 and 3 you're going to need to, but we'll talk about that next week. And then he did the prequels first, which is not the way to do it, but he said that he just couldn't watch the original trilogy afterwards. Like, he tried watching, the first, original Star Wars, and he just couldn't watch it. And I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. Yeah,
that is really interesting, because me personally, at least my experience with Star Wars, I don't remember, I do remember, and I was still a kid, but I remember it being an active choice for me to make, to sit down, because my exposure to Star Wars was literally, again, I'm bringing them up at the Family Guy parodies. I'd seen them a bunch, and I'd obviously, just throughout pop culture, you have exposure to Star Wars, and it was always, again, my mum loves it, so it was on the house, and I was familiar with it. But my main introduction to getting into the Star Wars world was the Attack of the Clones show, Star Wars Clone Wars. The Clone Wars TV series,
the 2008 one.
animated one, yeah. And then
Yeah,
from
yeah.
there, I just sort of went, all right, well, I'm going to watch, like, I asked my mum and we watched them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. And I was able to sort of make my opinion that way. But I can understand, and this is going to be sort of a big point for me throughout, honestly, like the entire time we discuss Star Wars. But it can be hard to get into that original trilogy because of his, like, Lucas's dialogue. Which,
I'm gonna to lay my feelings out about Star Wars. This is just like a general point for like the entire
yeah.
franchise. I like it, but it's bad a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I like Star Wars a lot, but it's also just like can we all agree it is kind of bad though? like
Yeah, well,
I like it's not like uh,
absolutely, absolutely yes and no. So I both 100% agree and disagree with you, and that is going to be like my entire point. And it's about and
yeah.
it's balance, and that's like that's kind of
Yeah.
the whole point is that
Yeah.
like the whole message of Star Wars is kind of like Luke, at least in the main thing, Luke figuring out that there is a blurred line, there is no definitive right and wrong, like
Yeah.
there is influence that like can, and I'm like that, and then we get that story through the prequels. So you got to watch them. You got to watch them. You got to watch them release order. But it's not the point.
Yeah. If
The point is,
you yeah, I mean we'll talk about this, yeah, as we
yeah.
get into it.
But like, yeah, I absolutely agree. There is no other franchise, bar like maybe Harry Potter, but there is very little other franchises where there is so much debate and discourse about like genuinely reasonable parts of the plot, and people just going, "Oh, it's just the Force." Like, yeah, you can, yeah, but like that's the problem with making something that's
I
just completely like. I'm a big fan of
yeah.
it though. At the same time, I'll go as far as to say I fucking love Star Wars, but it does so well and so weirdly poorly at the same time.
It's this weird thing because like the people who are like massive fanboys of Star Wars fucking love it to like an almost concerning degree.
Oh, I wouldn't say I'm a huge fanboy, but I fucking love Star Wars. Like
I and there's sort of two camps of it. There's the people who love everything Star Wars does, and you can't criticize any of it, or they'll like he's sort of the thing with Star Wars is there's sort of a few different camps. There's the people who love all of it, and if you criticize any of it, they're gonna get upset at you for that, even the just objectively bad stuff. And then there's the people who hate everything except for like one section of it, like the people who hate everything Disney has done with Star Wars, but then they only like the original trilogy or the prequels or something like that.
yeah, there are Lucas worshippers, absolutely. There are like Lucas worship. George Lucas worship is something that I don't quite understand, but
I
people act
yeah,
like he's a god. And
I think it's weird because we all agreed the prequels were bad. We all agreed they were not very good.
we'll get into it when we talk about the prequels, won't we?
But I mean, the thing with George Lucas is he's very good at coming up with ideas. He's not very good at like writing them though. Like
Oh, he's an awful writer. Like, just as
he's a really quite bad writer, and it's
he's
like
so creative though.
he
Like
has
he's
some
got creativity flows through him, but he
hmm,
just it's like he would have been it would have nothing can be perfect. It's about balance, William.
yeah, like he is behind the story. The Indiana Jones films. He is credited as like story, but he came up with the stories for those films, for better and for worse in some cases. He just shouldn't write those ideas, and he should pass it off to someone else, and have someone else bring his ideas to life.
I don't know because sometimes like, and I mean, I'm going to talk about it a lot, like more. It's kind of like my whole point with not the third one, the sixth one, but, Return of the Jedi. There's like this kind of like idea that he almost doesn't even know what he's doing himself, and that works really well and really poorly. And it just like again, consistency is not a word that is used in like Star Wars when discussing it. So I think it will. Well, we can talk about it broader. Like there are points that I kind of want to make about the broader thing, but they relate to individual films. So we'll get into the films, and then when that gets brought up in my mind for when we're talking about it, then I'll sort of like build on it. But like it, I think I'm sort of as I'm talking about Star Wars today, I'm sort of thinking about it more as like an entire, at least pre-Disney, like the Lucas era, as an entire cohesive like story. Whilst also like again, we are discussing individual films. Some of them have different directors, so and something that I'm going to say right like out the gate, and I don't think there is a single film in which it is ever executed poorly in the pre-Disney era. But and something I don't think I will rarely comment on negatively is just how these films fucking sound. Like when you if you want to talk about some of the best sound design in film history.
Oh yeah.
It's the Star Wars franchise.
There's so much across all of these films. There's the one bit that I always go back to that I think is just incredible sound design it's in Attack of the Clones actually, when there's the chase through like the asteroid field and those like bombs that go off and like the pulsing as they like explode is genuinely one of my favorite pieces of sound design in anything.
Some of the delayed sound explosions as well. Like,
and there's so many. There's like just the sounds of the lightsabers, like even when they're not being used, and there's just like the humming sound as they're.
But not even sound design, but just also like some of the. I think Duel of Fates is the best piece of music ever made for a film.
It is a fantastic piece and is, I would say, a very solid contender for the best piece of Star Wars music, definitely.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's also just because I'm at a very epic moment in my life right now. My favorites change all the time. I think if they don't change, then you're not changing. But, like, at the moment, like, Duel of Fates is genuinely, it's just in my playlist on Spotify, like, my daily playlist.
It's a great piece of music, and I think that, again, that's another thing you can really give a lot of credit to Star Wars for, is just the music. So many iconic pieces of music. You've got, like, the main title sequence, you've got the Empire's theme, the dun 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 dun. You've got like the Force
Imperial
theme,
March.
you've got Imperial March, you've got Yoda's theme, you've got even the prequels, you've got some great pieces in the prequels. Like you've got the Anakin and Padme's like love theme.
Yeah, I think the prequels it goes so underrated, and when it comes to score as well, I think like the prequels, just due to their many faults, often get shit on a lot. And again, we'll get into it, but like maybe I'm too soft on my Star Wars, but like at least, and I mean the tone that is set by the first film, A New Hope. Like as we get into it, so like it's when again that like even from the first line, like the first piece of writing on that you see on the screen, like sets the tone and environment so well immediately.
I mean, the film opens with I did about 3 years ago now. I did a massive at the cinema marathon of all 3 original Star Wars films in the cinema. So I was in there for like a whole day basically, and it was great because I like those movies a lot. And just that opening sequence where like the camera, you've got the opening title crawl obviously, and then the camera pans down and you see like there's this planet, and then there's just like a ship that goes past, and there's this fucking massive ship that's right behind it. Like that is such a great opening sequence. It just throws you right into the action right up front.
Yeah.
And I think it was the right call on George Lucas's part to have this be like the first one that he made, because it's, you're thrust into the middle of this, but you get an understanding of this world very quickly and very easily. You're not.
Yeah.
I think as it goes on, and especially with the prequels, he just over explains way too fucking much. But I will say about all Star Wars films, really, is, the writing isn't amazing. Some of the dialogue is very cheesy and very corny. I feel like everyone can kind of agree on that. Like even if you like Star Wars, some of it is very cheesy and very corny.
It's I like to use the word that makes that sound way more positive, and that's the word camp. Which they are gonna be camp, but it's also the best example of like Luke's hero's journey, right? So it kind of has it kind of is the corn that it's corny. Like, holy, this guy's such a cornball. It's like, he's the cornball. Like this is this kind of from when it came out, the only thing it kind of set the tone, especially for sci-fi, but like for pop culture in general. So it kind of has to be camp because it's what camp is. It's what makes camp camp. Like, it is the first. It's the chicken before the egg.
Yeah,
or the
and
egg.
and it's also Jaws was like a couple years earlier, but I feel like Star Wars is the film people think of when you say like summer blockbuster, like Hollywood blockbuster.
There's an argument that Darth Vader is definitely the most iconic villain. You could because ever imply, like, because you could argue that like Shakespeare is kind of a franchise himself, so like he's kind of probably the most popular franchise ever. But like that doesn't count, I don't think, in my head. But like if you're going over time, you could argue Indiana Jones, both Harrison Ford, which is just awesome. Yeah, I really do think even Star Trek, like, unfortunately, I don't think holds a candle to the popularity that Star Wars.
I think the thing with Star Trek is, as much as I love Star Trek, it just can't really compare with Star Wars, just in terms, because like Star Wars is for everyone, whereas Star Trek is a bit more insular than that.
Yeah. Star Wars is the entry point to a lot of people to sci-fi. Like, it genuinely is. For people to, like, the way people sort of see an entire genre is based on.
I was about to ask, what do you think of people who call Star Wars fantasy and not sci-fi?
It's definitely a storyline that could work in fantasy, but that's only because
it's a very universal story.
It's a hero's journey. It's a hero's journey with like it's a hero's journey, and it's showing a hero's tragedy. It's literally the two trilogies we're speaking about are a tragedy, and again, this is contentious. Depending on we'll get to it in the third film, but like a like not only redemption for that first hero, but also like it uses a story to like tell a bigger story, which is kind of what like good universes do. And there's something you cannot discredit Star Wars for doing, and George Lucas specifically, and that's world building. Like and I know that's the biggest argument for pro Star Wars, but I feel like they expand so well, except in the first film. I always found A New Hope to be super linear, and again, it is the entry point for a lot of people. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think it's nice to sort of start very sort of like following this. Like, well, obviously we got like, you're in Tatooine, you're in the Death Star, you're in Millennium Falcon. But like, it doesn't really start diving into that heavier and heavier until really the films after. And that's because this whole, like, you can literally watch A New Hope, especially the first like editions of A New Hope, and that's just the Star Wars story.
Yeah. because this is controversial to say. I don't know how controversial this is to say or how controversial it should be, but the original Star Wars, in my opinion, is the best Star Wars, and it's kind of there's good
Well,
stuff afterwards, but the original Star Wars is the best Star Wars.
I'm a big fan of the New Hope, personally. I don't know. I I fucking love Empire, but that's not the point. I think I really do think like A New Hope is like,
Yeah,
so
it's
strong. It's also weak in its way. Like it doesn't age the best. I'm sick.
yeah,
I'm sick of this whole like. But it also, at the same time, when you think about when it came out, looks and sounds again. Like the way
yeah,
they use miniatures and stop motion, it's so
yeah.
effective.
Like the visuals, for the most part, have not aged.
Also, and we'll do it, and we'll do this. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the visuals come out looking, and we'll do this now. I think, and it's probably we kind of only really need to do it once until new characters pop up. But like the performances in this first trilogy are like really, really strong, even from young kind of like untested actors like Hamill, Carrie Fisher. Like, oh man, we get into it. But like as Leia, like such a like strong, independent female character who like obviously yes she gets sexualized because they're a fat nerd, but it's like, and like George Lucas is kind of a fat nerd. Like respect and that I'm fat too, it's fine. But I just think that there's like there's like also just very rare in pop culture. Well, like in typical sort of like linear storytelling to have a female character like that's actually powerful and isn't just a damsel in distress the whole time. She
Yeah,
kind of does play a damsel in distress a lot, but like, and then
Yeah,
half the time she's also badass as fuck. And it's like, can you
yeah,
just pick one? Because they do the exact same thing with Padme, and it pisses me off. But again,
yeah.
get into it.
This was before. This was around the same time as Alien.
Yeah,
And you just didn't have as many. Well, you didn't have any female characters really in the 70s that were.
let alone like call almost like leads or like large scale cast members that aren't.
Yeah,
Yes, Leia is there because like Han Solo and stuff, but she also serves a way bigger plot point and character motivations.
yeah. And I think that. Yeah, I think this cast again. These are just kind of. They're not like the most amazing actors or anything, but they're very good like stars. Harrison Ford, for example, kind of the definition of a movie star. Like
And
honest, like
aura, but he's also wasn't this like his? Everyone's heard the story that he was just like a, like a tech, like a film tech that ended up getting like cast as one of the lead characters in a fucking.
yeah. I'm just looking. He didn't like this was basic. So he done before this. He did American Graffiti with George Lucas, and he did the Francis Ford Coppola film The Conversation. But Star Wars was the thing that really made him known because then he did Apocalypse Now, he did Empire, then he did Raiders, Blade Runner, Witness, Mosquito Coast, Working Girl, Fugitive. So this was the thing that really made him. As much as he seemingly hates Star Wars and does not enjoy talking about Star Wars, which to be honest, after being asked questions about Star Wars for is it 50 years now?
Yeah, but at the same time, nut up. Like, what a hard life. I'm sorry, but like I'm not having a go at Harrison Ford's life. I have no idea what a human actually deals with mentally, and that has nothing to do with role or status or money. But like complaining about being loved for being in Star Wars and like being part of something that has like affected so many people's lives and how important you are to that, and then just being like, oh, I'm so sick of it is just kind of so fucking lame to do. I understand, again, you might have some things going on, but I've always hated that. I've always hated this like disdain for Mark Hamill had never played really another character again until he got old. Like he did no working for like 30 years after this. Like he did, he fell into like relative obscurity, and
Yeah.
it's just like I and yeah, he has his beef with the Disney movies and stuff, and like rightfully so. But I think that, uh, yeah, like this idea that Harrison Ford is better or bigger than Star Wars, I've always not been a huge fan of.
I
Although again,
it's
I
weird
kind of like it.
because
It's
I
weird because
kind
it's
of I kind of like Harrison Ford's whole don't give a fuck attitude where he's just like honest about things. Like I appreciate that. And it's weird because he doesn't do this with Indiana Jones. Like he seems genuinely really happy to talk about Indiana Jones with people. But there is something about Star Wars that he does not like.
and that's fair because Star Wars is a lot more flawed. It's written by a guy
Oh,
who didn't even know, like consistently sort of like
yeah.
narratively
I
flawed.
think
It's written by a guy who didn't know how it was going to end until he ended it. George
yeah.
Lucas, yeah, we'll get into it when we get into the third film, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I just
think
wanted to sort of clear that idea that Harrison Ford was like a nobody before Star Wars because he was definitely working because he helped write a
yeah,
lot
no,
of the dialogue in Star Wars.
he'd done stuff, but he was never like this was the thing that made him like the household name that he is now, you know.
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah, yeah. But people go, "Oh, he was a janitor," and I'm like, okay, like, yeah, right, like probably once, but it's not the like
Yeah.
he was an actor that got his big break, sure, but there's
Yeah.
an idea out there and there's rhetoric that he wasn't an actor, and it's like no, he also played a huge part again in workshopping the scripts to make sure that like
I
he
mean,
rewrote most to all of Han Solo's lines because he said this is not how a human being talks. Like
I mean, the actors in Star Wars historically have made fun of the writing and the dialogue because George Lucas cannot write for shit.
he can't write dialogue at all.
Yeah.
It's so much worse and more apparent in the prequels,
Oh,
but
I think the difference with the prequels is because I don't think there was another person there to tell him like, "Hey man, let's workshop this a bit." Everyone's sort of like, "Well, what is doing what he wanted because it's George Lucas, you know?" And it's like that's not like that's just kind of the problem when you get someone at George Lucas's level and you don't tell him no to things is like because I've seen some of the stuff that was cut from the original Star Wars film. There's like a scene with like Luke and his mate who like becomes a pilot later on, like towards the end of the film, and the dialogue is just terrible.
yeah, no, he doesn't know how to write for human beings because I mean it's just not something he can do. But I really, yeah, yeah. Again, that's sort of a whole consistent issue with the franchise. But with the New Hope, like relatively, we're given a pretty good story. We get some of the really good moments, especially from Harrison Ford as Han Solo. The whole like boring conversation, anyway, was like is one of the best bits where
Oh
he
yeah,
just shoots the
that's one of the
conversation.
best bits in the film is when he's in the control room with the
Yeah, and he's also
and then
constantly cracking jokes. He's cracking jokes when they're in the like compactor, and he's like, "At least we'll all be thin." And it's like,
yeah, like I think Harrison Ford again, Harrison Ford has that movie star charisma and comedy to what he does where it's like he just is yeah a
yeah,
great
where
he just is a movie star and like yeah he's a very solid actor. I think that he works really well in like again Han Solo just kind of feels like a version of him just sort of dialed up a bit, which I think that's what a lot of great good actors do is they just play versions of themselves dialed up to different levels. Like
I can argue that sometimes it can be like a relatively negative point, like when an
it,
actor because it can take you out of the film. But with Harrison Ford, it doesn't
yeah
seem to. He kind of fits being that guy, like in all
yeah
those movies.
it's no, I get what you mean. My point is sort of there's not a whole lot of actors that I feel like truly transform and disappear. into
Yeah.
characters. And to be fair, I'm not asking. I don't need actors to do that in Star Wars of all things,
Yeah.
but there are like a very few handful of actors who do truly like become the character.
But like A New Hope, like again, we're given
Yeah.
so many great sequences, like Tatooine. How often do you
Yeah.
get a PG movie where you just straight up see fucking skeletons, like burnt skeletons? It's kind of cool.
Dude,
I
that's such a fucking great one of the best moments in the film for me when
Uncle Ben
this
and
is gonna
Leonard.
sound bad, but like just that shot of how brutal, like they are burnt to death, like this entire
And he's
farm
just
has
looking
been.
at it, and he's not crying or anything. Just like
Yeah,
like, which
he
obviously
yeah,
it's weird. The
it's
Skywalkers are a known whinge. They all of them
yeah.
whinge. Every single one of them is a whinge.
Great about that moment is it's probably the best bit of acting Mark Hamill does in maybe any of these Star Wars films, where he
Mm.
doesn't really show that much emotion, but he gives you so much emotion. Like he sort
I
of has that moment where he doesn't quite he's not crying, but he sort of sort of internalizes it.
I do love this sequence. I think some of his strongest acting is in Return. But like I like the third film, but I really think that A New Hope such a good intro. Obviously, I mean if we want to talk about it, we'll talk about it because it's relative to the overall like why people shit on Star Wars. But yes, the idea that his twin sister to their evil dad, who is also the Overlord, happened like a message from his twin sister to her evil dad's old Jedi master, who like in a random droid, which is then bought by her twin brother to same evil
I
guy, while she's caught by evil guy,
Yeah,
and he also just happens to run into Obi-Wan Kenobi.
this is
Like
a
it's the Force, right? It's the
yeah,
Force.
this is a franchise of conveniences. Like, I mean, the prequels, the worst bit, not the worst bit, but one of the worst bits in the prequels is when we find out that Anakin built C3PO.
Yeah,
Like, that is just objectively bad writing. I'm sorry. Like, there
yeah.
are other
It
things
was
that I
just
can.
because like C-3PO hadn't been tied to the other characters outside of
Yeah,
just
but it's
being a
like
droid.
it just.
But
Well,
I don't think he needed to. I don't like. I thought that
no,
this
I
was the
really
story
don't think
that
it needed
ties them.
to. And all it does is it makes the universe smaller because
Oh, so much more linear.
it's like oh, all these characters they just happen to know each other at a point in time. It's like that doesn't work. And
And
there's
every
like
single one of them,
and then there's
is like
like
directly connected to Darth
yeah,
Vader.
and Yoda was with Chewbacca, like, and this they
True. The whole Ewok thing in the prequels. No, the whole fucking not Ewok.
Wookiees.
Yeah, Wookiee thing in the
And
prequels.
I will say
Sorry, I
this,
get bears mixed up with bears.
yeah. Well, they were supposed to in Return of the Jedi. They were gonna do Wookiees instead of Ewoks, but
Yeah.
they apparently had difficulty finding like 7 foot tall actors. They found it much easier to find like under 5 foot people. Which, to be fair, that's probably easier. I mean, just find children. You could probably just find kids, to be honest. That would probably work.
Nah, but you should
Uh,
hire little actors.
you
But
should.
it's like
I mean, did you see the fucking
Peter Dinklage.
Dinklage? Oh, dude, what a fucking dick, by the way. What an absolute dick about that because, dude, he broke all these boundaries. He built this ladder and then he just fucking pulled it off with him and said, "Now fuck
Yeah.
you." And it's just like, dude, you just like, and the amount of like little people who are actually pissed off with him for that, like,
Oh, completely. They're taking.
and
He's
I
taking for
don't blame
like
them.
their
I
mouths,
don't
their
blame him.
families.
Like, he's the most famous, actor, like little person actor, and he's
Yeah,
just
little.
now he's basically caused them to like not get as many jobs, and like it's not like they were getting many fucking jobs anyway. He just made it fucking worse.
Yeah, there are very few films where they get to be like character literally in the title, and they don't get
Yeah,
to. Like,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Anyway,
it's
yeah. Oh, yeah. We just talked about how there was a bit that apparently in Revenge of the Sith they were gonna fucking have a kid there with Chewbacca who was implied to be Han Solo, and I'm like, thank God they didn't do that. 'Cause
because
that would have been even fucking worse. Like,
they do a lot of that in the year Boba Fett and all that sort of stuff, like
yeah.
Jango
Oh,
Fett and Boba Fett.
and I will say this: Disney Star Wars is also very bad for this, but we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah,
Like, it's just, yeah. I think for me, the original Star Wars: A New Hope, or Star Wars as it is like, I'd say it's the best Star Wars because it's the most complete story. Empire Strikes Back is not a complete story by the end of it.
oh yeah, after this film, none of them are individual stories. All of them are now like episodes. All of them are now episodes, literally in the title. But like all of them
Yeah,
are now. A New Hope is a definitive like.
is a
It's got
film.
a
It is
it's
a
got a
film. Yeah,
beginning, middle, and end to
yeah.
a core narrative.
It
Whereas
is a,
like,
yeah.
oh well, I'd argue Return is, but it's also like
It
it
kind of is,
is
but
for the wider
it does
story. Like
really
it has an
need.
ending.
Yeah, but it does really need Empire to sort of set up like the first 20 minutes or so of that film, really. Well,
Oh
really,
yeah, no,
it's just the Han stuff, really, because the Empire stuff
yeah.
that's completely separate. I mean, you like it does play into the whole Luke is Vader's father, like that is a big part of that film, but like,
Oh yeah, Vader is Luke's. Yeah.
which by the way, for the longest time, I remember when I first saw that, I didn't think that was true. I thought he was just lying. I genuinely did not believe Vader was Luke's dad. And I just want to get your opinion on that as like a twist.
It's a lot.
Be-
Like I can imagine when it initially was a huge deal. Like unless you're like a German Star Wars fan, but like I imagine because Vader means father. Like it like it translates to father
yeah,
in English,
it
like in
does.
German.
I was really confused where you were going for a second because I was like, what is he going with this? And it's like, and I did German
No,
for
no,
like,
I was actually going with the epic rap battles of history, Darth Vader. But no,
yeah,
real ones no. But it's like I to speak about Vader. I think is one of the is like the second best villain in
second
like
best. Is there
written
someone you think's better
history.
than?
I do think Iago from
Oh,
Othello is
Othello, yeah,
better.
classic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like he.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's fair.
Also, Ewan McGregor, which is just like awesome. I fucking love that guy. But like, we'll get into it. But like, yeah, I think he plays him in the Othello film. But yeah, I do think that Iago is the villain. Um, and then yeah, Vader, and then like Doc Ock, Green Goblin. It's just Spider Man after that. I don't care about anyone else. But like I think Vader not only iconic but also so like again. It's just about like balance and especially influence and corruption and like foundational issues. Which is like explored way more with like Anakin's story. But I think as a villain, and at least as a compelling sort of like anti to Luke, the whole, and we'll get I guess more into the twist. But yeah, I think it works so well because without it, it's just sort of I mean, he's just a good guy with no motivation to turn bad, fighting a bad guy with no motivation to turn good. Like it's just they're not. I think heroes and villains need to be intertwined in a way for it to have any meaningful like narrative purpose. And yeah, I thought it was a good twist, but I already I'm in my head. I thought I don't know. I already knew it. I was already exposed to Star Wars, so like I already knew
This
that.
is, yeah, the thing about it is it's kind of impossible for it to work as a twist anymore. It's like the twist in Sixth Sense or the twist in Fight Club, like there's
But
certain
then,
twists where it's like they don't work anymore because
but
everyone fucking knows them.
yeah, but now you get the moment of like Oh, I love the bit when Darth Vader says that he's Luke's father. Like, I love that bit. I love that whole sequence. I love that. So you can now, instead of it being a big twist moment, now it's just a good moment in the film. Like, I don't think it not. I think it working at a twist as a twist at the time would have been awesome, but it not working as like a huge deal twist, it's still super important to the plot narrative. We still get to see the character figure that out, whether or not we've seen it before, which is still cool if you care about a story. And yeah, it works well for like the larger narrative, so I don't mind it. But when you get to like A New Hope, you know, they're meeting for the first time. We get Obi-Wan Kenobi's sacrifice, which it means less if you've seen the prequels.
Yeah.
Because then you just know that he knows he fucking matter. Like, but like we know he's immortal. But like if you watch then you get the thing, and then you're like, that's why he comes back as a Force ghost, and it's actually immortality, and it's quite cool. But
Yeah.
when you're watching it, like, and it builds in your mind organically instead of because if you watch the prequels first, you're just getting all the exposition and context.
Yeah.
Up front.
And that's the problem with watching the prequels first, and why you should never fucking do that. Unless, well, certainly the first time you ever watch Star Wars is it's
Well,
like
because I think A New Hope relies so much on like you can definitely tell that he had plans for like way more world building with just these lines, like and dialogue within the like bits within the character where you just go like and world building that he's done when you go like, okay, there's a lot more deeper. There's like there's a way deeper world going on with this sort of Star Wars stuff. That whole like Obi-Wan, especially the first interaction you get with Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you watch the prequels first, just fucking ruins A New Hope, especially.
yeah. If you it also it just kind of ruins all the goods. It also like because then if you watch the prequels first, you know Luke and Leia are related. You know, like it just kind of takes everything like good, and that is interesting about the original trilogy, and it kind of undoes all the good stuff really that the original trilogy did if you watch the prequels first.
Yeah.
Another favorite bit I have from the original Star Wars is the twin sons moment.
Yeah,
Where
absolutely.
Luke, walks out and he just is looking at the twin sons, and just the music comes in. It's fantastic. It's a really, really great scene, and the music is it's fantastic music. That's just what elevates the film so much, is like all the the visuals, the score, the sound, like that's what elevates it, rather than like the writing or the production or the performances per se. Not that those are bad, but it like this film wouldn't really feels like it was sort of brought together and saved in post production, in the editing and stuff like that. Whereas
again, yeah, I can see that. Again, George Lucas is a character, like is as a writer, didn't know how to end this original trilogy before he ended it. Like, again, we get into that in Return, but yeah, he's one of these guys that just seems to be figuring it out as he goes, and that's why there are so many holes that people are poking through it. But at the same time, it's still so enjoyable, though.
Yeah, like see, the thing is with it is the original trilogy, I kind of can go with the campiness and the silliness a bit more. Yeah, the prequels, they don't get away with the problems as much in the way that I feel like the original trilogy does.
Yeah, and yeah, I understand. And I think I'll get into that. I think Harrison Ford is a bit of a reason why, and again, I think it's his input in dialogue, because the dialogue is significantly worse when they're working with a crew of actors who are unexperienced, underpolished, and are not going to give George Lucas any notes about the writing because they want to keep their jobs. So the dialogue comes across as it was like originally written, which is bad because it's George Lucas.
Yeah.
But like I really think, especially A New Hope, like works so well from like start to finish. Again, the stormtrooper sequence is fun,
Yeah.
iconic. I think people poke holes in the the Death Star plans where you just like shoot it into a vent, and it's
Yeah.
like I don't think you understand. It's not the equator trench. It's like way smaller trenches, like on the Death Star that look smaller, but like it realistically, if you're a contracted to build this thing, no one's expecting them to find this vent, figure out that is the one main weakness, and then exploit it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about it next week when we talk about Rogue One, which kind of
Yeah.
retroactively, well, depends who you are, if you like that decision or not.
What do you think for A New Hope? I like because I think probably about time we move on to start getting through. I guess well, both of the sequels can be quite like you can get
Yeah.
bogged down in them.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd give Star Wars A New Hope 10 out of 10. I love it.
Really?
It's yeah, I it's a childhood favorite. I've watched it so many times, and I think it is the best Star Wars film. I really do. I having sat on them, having seen them so many times, it is the best Star Wars film. And I know there's a lot of people who prefer Empire, but it is the original A New Hope
I'll
that
make.
is
Uh,
the best Star Wars.
I can I can see that as completely fair and valid. My personal opinion, is that yeah, it's probably the best Star Wars film, but it's
But
not
it's
the
not your
best Star Wars film. It's the best Star Wars film, is in like it.
is it
It's in
is it not your
it's the
favorite
best.
one though?
It's also not my favorite's Empire. I'm one of the people that think Empire.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
fair.
I don't think it's the best film. I think A New Hope is the best film out of the Star Wars film, but I think Empire is the best episode of the Star Wars story, like of like the entire. It's contentious as fuck because I like. We'll get into it when we get into it, but I think it executes being an episode of the Star Wars like saga the best. But yeah, like A New Hope for me is it's a 9 out of 10. And this isn't really fair to fault it, but they've just come out with so many different versions of the fucking thing that it's like whether you and I could have like watched completely different versions without being able to even like communicate or realize that until you talk about specific moments and scenes. Like it's so weird that they add things to the final cut that play zero impact on the overall plot and timing, and then they take away things that don't, and then they take away things that do, and add things that don't, and you get this DVD release, and then this Blu-ray release, and then this special edition one, and they're all slightly different. And I think that just like again, it means that although we experience things differently, so we'll have different experiences. Being able to like clearly communicate with someone else about like one of the biggest IPs of all time.
Yeah.
Ideally, well, like there's a chance that my nephew has watched Star Wars, but he's seen A New Hope where there's Jabba the Hutt like talking to Han.
Yeah. I mean the capitalization of Star Wars and just the insane amount of products that are made.
But my thing is like now you're fucking with the narrative that was like that film. So yeah, I think that like relatively like 9 out of 10, and to get into what is my favorite one, which is Empire. It's just like we start on Hoth. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of being a very starkly different film from the original. It's not just sort of doing the same thing again. It's no, it
It well
so yeah.
builds almost immediately as well. Like it
Yeah,
like
it establishes a lot, and the Empire, they strike back in this one, and they strike back in this one.
we also get
And
a more seasoned Luke Skywalker, building of the romance between Han and Leia.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. Look, don't get me wrong. I really like this film, but I think it this film does have more problems than I say like compared to the original. Uh, I mean, it doesn't really have an ending. We've already sort of talked about Empire and Return of the Jedi to an extent, but Empire doesn't really have an ending.
No, it doesn't really at all. They just sort of go to Cloud City and then like.
And then they just sort of leave, and they don't have Han. And
Yeah, but my argument that it's one of the best episodes is again in at least in the original trilogy, and that's because it well builds so effective. Like Cloud City is fucking stunning.
yeah,
Some of the stuff
it does do it. Yeah, in terms of world building, it's really great what this film does in terms
and
of it gives you new stuff because you've got Hoth, you've got Snow Planet, you've got Dagobah, which is
Dagobah.
You've got the swamp. Yeah, you've got all these different you've got the stuff where they're in
Also,
the asteroids. Well, it's not
fucking
technically an asteroid; it's a big worm.
yeah, but like Sarlacc pit, yeah. Oh, yeah, no. Sorry, yeah, the big
The
one.
big
The big one.
yeah.
Yeah. But like, I also like, I also think like obviously we get Yoda, backpack Yoda, but we get Yoda like in Luke training sequence. We get one of the best like in Dagobah in the Dagobah system where it's like we get the best sort of
Yeah,
like, visualization
Yoda.
in a conflict that Luke sees and becoming like the pull from the dark side of the Force. We see a similar thing happen in the prequels again, but it's like
I mean, there's that great scene where Luke goes into that. What even is it exactly? I forget like what it's called, but that cave, yeah,
like,
and then he fights Vader and he cuts the head off, and
it's just
it's
an area that is very like prominent with the dark side of the Force.
yeah, and Yoda tells him, "Don't go in there, mate," and he's like, I think I will," and then he fails.
Also,
Which
this
that is
reminds me.
genuinely kind of a bit unnerving, where like he cuts the helmet off and it's his face in there. Like that is actually genuinely kind of it's a bit unnerving, like just in terms of
Yeah,
like just that idea of, and it's a great. I mean, Yoda is fantastic. Can we just say that?
yeah. Yoda
Yoda's
is really
fucking sick.
yeah, and he's kind of the only good Jedi Master if you just kind of in the entire thing, like the
Yeah,
literally
he's
besides like Qui-Gon Jinn, but
mm,
like
he's. I
he
also I love the puppet
Puppet Yoda is so good.
and
Like, but also
yeah.
I I also don't think that CGI Yoda is that bad.
I
Like
No, I think the CGI well, because they did Puppet Yoda originally for the Phantom Menace before they changed it to, and I do think the CGI is better than that puppet. Honestly, I'm all for practical effects, but I don't know why. I feel like they've kind of made the Yoda puppets a bit worse over time because
I know what
I
you
don't
mean.
think Baby Yoda is like great, honestly.
I don't think he is either, and I think that he looks so mechanical.
The
Like,
this is the thing with Baby Yoda that really bothers me is whenever he's like does like a flip in the air, it looks so artificial.
well, you can't puppet that.
You can't puppet that, but that's just the problem then, is because it takes me out because it's like the Franz Ferdinand song. But
Yeah,
it takes me out because it's such a it just obviously isn't real and it doesn't look real.
yeah. No, it doesn't. That is something that I can argue that. Yeah, I also agree with that whole Baby Yoda. I think Yoda. This is peak fucking Yoda. This is peak Yoda.
Oh
And
dude,
not only is it
he's
not
fucking
only is
great
it
in this
peak,
film.
yeah, peak Yoda. It reminds me to tell you I've spoken about it. Like we've been recording for a bit over an hour, and I've been speaking about it. Watch the Family Guy Star Wars parodies because the Yoda is played by the comic book guy, and it's so good. It's like unironically so good. It comes across so well. It's so funny. but yeah, like Yoda in this film is so is so
he's
sort of important for Luke as well because it really shows the contrast. It's so hard for me to talk about Luke without talking about Anakin as a character because like their stories directly mirror each other. Yoda is that Jedi Master that he needed, while also still having Obi-Wan's Force presence. Like Dagobah is an environment is so cool too. It's something that we really hadn't seen. It's so alive compared to the deserts and like ships we've been on.
I what I love so much about Yoda is he's just a mischievous little goblin who's just like fucking and like the little laughs he does, like he just says a line and then he goes and he just like fucking around, just like it's genuinely really great, and he's a really great comedic injection
Yoda's
into the film,
hilarious.
and he's such a great comedic injection because it's a very dark film, like literally and figuratively.
Oh yeah, it
And
kind of represents a new being, and now that we're in like the episodic Star Wars, we'll talk about it. But like this whole trilogy is about whether or not Luke is going to go to the dark side or the light side of the Force. Like A New Hope is the best outcome and the best sort of like what representation of like positive force, whereas Empire is negative force. Like it is the best representation of the dark side of the force. It really is. Like it's about watching like that pull towards the dark side of the force, and it culminates far out. It culminates in Return. But I really think that Empire, where it like starts kicking off this like larger scale, is where I really begin to fall in love with the broader Star Wars like world. It's kind of what makes it was the first film to really. A New Hope again invented Star Wars, but Empire is the first film to really like build Star Wars as to what we see it now.
I like what this film does in terms of how it expands the universe, which I think some of the other Star Wars films don't do. Or maybe they do expand, but they don't expand well. I think, also Boba Fett, he gets introduced in this film, another iconic character. And it's weird how iconic he is as a character because he's barely in these fucking movies.
Yeah.
It's like how Darth Maul became inexplicably popular despite barely being in Phantom Menace.
Well, no, that's not inexplicable. Watch the Clone Wars TV shows.
Yeah, but I mean before Clone Wars happened.
Oh yeah, Darth Maul. We get about genuine solid 3 minutes of that guy. Like, and we get the same with fucking Dooku as well. But like, I think that Boba Fett like instantly becoming beloved. Of course, he would. He's kind of cool.
It's just sort of it's weird how popular he is because he doesn't really do anything just besides like kind of just aura farming, honestly. Like that's kind of all he does. He just sort of stands there and looks cool and aura farms for the film. He's got like surely less than 10 minutes of screen time, right? Like he's really not in the film that much. It's kind of insane how popular he is for how little he is in the film.
I also like in this film we get like Han Solo actually giving a fuck eventually and sacrifice. Ultimate, it really sort of builds his character more than just being the Chandler of the group, because in A New Hope he kind of just is that. He's a hero, but like in this one you really start to see like yes, he obviously gives it, like he cares. And I love that. Like we get a lot more building to Han as a character. If I can make an argument, and it's more of an argument with Return than it is of Empire, but all this Jabba the Hutt shit, I was never a big fan of. Like, the entire environment or sequence, I've always just thought is the weakest. Genuinely, and I'm talking like there's Jar Jar Binks. I think this is the Jabba the Hutt's like environment and world. Because other than the Sarlacc pit is arguably awesome. Yeah, it is like one of the least I thought the least engaging parts of like the broader Star Wars narrative and trilogy.
There's that one scene it wasn't in the original version of Star Wars, it was an added where Jabba and his crew are at the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Which also, we didn't even talk about the Greedo scene in the original, which, I mean, I don't really think we need to say much more on that beyond Han shot first.
Han shot first, but it's also like sets the tone, right? Sometimes you just some shooter gotta shoot, you know?
Yeah, and I really like the scene before they changed it and ruined it kind of forever. Well, George Lucas changed it forever and ruined it.
I like that it wraps up in Return. Like that's it kind of is the worst way to start the movie though. And again, that's my it's weird. The biggest knock I have on Empire isn't the fact that it doesn't kind of complete a narrative. It's the fact that it doesn't really complete a narrative and is paced so weird. Like where it's like, okay, so we get all the Han stuff, and then we go to Cloud City and we do all the Cloud City stuff, and then in return we go back to Han. And I'm like, well, why? Why not just follow the story outline throughout the fucking? Like I get that like have a bit of time without him in Cloud City and the rest of it, but to me it always just seemed like kind of, at least if you're watching it as a marathon, it works a little better.
Yeah, and I think that also Billy D. Williams just got that charisma as Lando. He's a great new addition to the films. I really like him in this.
Thoughts on Lando as a character, just kind of in general?
I like him. I think people kind of go a bit overboard with like the love for him, but I think he's a good character.
But like to sort of summarize, I guess with Empire, it's it like obviously we get again we spoke about it already, but big twist reveal. We sort of start to see the hand being cut off, which is like significant. Because like again it's significant because of Return. They definitely feel like part 1 and part 2 of the same film. Apparently the initial script of Star Wars was something like 200 pages long, so he turned it into 3 separate films. But but like if it's Act 1, 2, and 3, Episode 4, 5, 6, then Act 1 itself that has 3 acts as well, so that it doesn't make like Georgia. Don't bullshit a Georgie boy. I know that you saw the first one was successful and thought, fuck it. We can
build
the
thing. Like, the way George Lucas has talked about Star Wars, I'm like, I don't believe any of this, really. Like, I can imagine he had vague ideas of what he wanted to do for the other films, but I cannot imagine he had, like, an entire thing written. Like, there's no fucking way he had an entire thing written. Like, that's not true at all.
Not particularly, just that like indicating it because I'm pretty tired. But like I am a huge fan of the film. To give it a score out of 10, I give it a 9 as well.
I was honestly expecting a 10. I was expecting you to go 10.
The 9 as well. I don't, because again it doesn't tell although it kind of fixes a lot of the issues I have with The New Hope when it comes to like fucking with like different iterations and just like building itself to be like important in the overall arc of like the trilogy and the story and stuff, and being more episodic. It leans too far that way and it doesn't tell a complete story. And that's something that I've just never been a real big fan of the Jabba the Hutt sequence as well. And that plays such a huge, significant part again until we get to the Sarlacc pit, but that's in Return. So it's So 9 out of 10. I am still a huge fan of it. I just think that like nothing is without its faults. Well, there are arguably perfect, damn near perfect pieces of media.
I mean,
but I don't know.
How many films? There's not many films I would say are like perfect.
Yeah.
But
so to get a 10 out of 10 score, it kind of has to really. 10 out of 10 means a lot.
I've got it down as a 10 out of 10, but it's really on the border between being a 9 and a 10. Honestly, I think it's really. I do love it, but it's I mean, it's definitely not as it's. I think it is a bit overrated. I think people go on about how I mean, yeah, we'll want to move on to Return because we still got 4 more films to get through. So
Yeah, well, we've got to start flying through these.
yeah, Return of the Jedi easily the weakest of these three. Like,
Yeah, but it's also but like it easily is something that I kind of debate. I think that I don't think that we see better acting by Mark Hamill like in the entire
hmm,
Star Wars 2. The internal struggle, the constant like the use of light is something no one talks about in Star Wars, and shadows to represent light and dark sides of the Force. He's constantly half in and half out. He is like in this constant. He wears black the entire film until like the conflict with his father, in which his dad dies, and then at the the Wookiee party at the Ewok party. Fuck, but like at the Ewok party, he then like lightens
hmm.
up a little bit, and there's something that happens there that I want your opinion on eventually. But like, I think that to sort of like it's so this particular film is Luke's film, whereas Empire feels like Vader's film, bit bit, but like it feels like a sort of a more important overall story film. Whereas this one is just like light, dark side of the Force, and it's about Luke. And it's like he is the one, and this is what this film is saying. And obviously, people are contentious about Ewoks. I fuck with them. I kind of like them. Some people don't like them. I
Yeah,
like them.
I was gonna ask, what do you think of the Ewoks? Because they're very controversial. Some people love them,
Yeah,
some people hate them.
they're contentious, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, there's no real reason to hate them. They're slightly annoying, but they're I I think they're cool, sort of like again parts of the world building. Again, I love being in more living environments. The way they do a lot of the trees and like sort of sequences around, the Ewok home planet. It's just so fucking like cool. And I love living in Star Wars. It
Hmm.
makes the universe feel alive. We get like a bit of sneaking around, and we get like a bit of like infighting, and this feels a lot more like warfare, like warfare. It's not we have space battles, but like a lot of it is because you're gonna blow up the Death Star again, but like a lot of it is happening boots on the ground.
Yeah, this is the first one that really feels like a war film, like a
Yeah,
Star Wars in the way that
well, it's
I
kind
would
of where
argue.
the battle hits a peak, right?
Yeah, and I would argue it's more of a war film than the first two are really.
Yeah, we get the it's a trap, but like
It's like I love Admiral Akbar as a character; he's great.
we also get Sarlacc pit, which is awesome sequence, so cool, such a cool like environment. We
Yeah,
get really strong positives to return, but it just why doesn't it like live up to Empire or A New Hope? Is like there's something I struggle with where it just doesn't feel uh, impactful.
I mean, yeah, for me, this very much is the weakest of the original trilogy, and it's a weird one because I feel like there's a lot of people who very openly don't like it and think it's
Well, that was the thing I was going to say is had originally intended Luke to become Darth Vader.
well, isn't the
Apparently he was supposed to take his father's helmet and put it on and become Darth Vader, and
yeah,
like
isn't the wasn't I mean was it isn't it famous that it was going to be called Revenge of the Jedi or something like
yeah,
that was the
Revenge of the Jedi, and he was holding a red lightsaber. So whether or not like it's something that, but I don't know. I love the moment of like obviously Luke influencing. I think this film is so much better because of the prequels. Without the prequels, I'm not gonna. It is a significant. I think is a lot weaker. I think since the prequels have come out, Return is a lot stronger in the overall narrative, specifically for Anakin's and Darth Vader's story arc as a character. Like, it is so important that, and I kind of wanted to bring up at the Ewok party, the Force Ghosts. Do you have an opinion particularly on that, about like how they've like retroactively made it Hayden Christensen? You know what? I don't. I have no issue with it at all. I'm actually a huge fan of it. I understand that being a Star Wars fan involves a lot of cope, but I'm a huge fan.
I don't really care that much about it. I mean, I don't think Aiden Christensen is a particularly good actor. So if I had the choice, I'd probably say no. But
alrighty, well, I'm gonna. Yeah, I just not so much that it's about. I just like that it sort of represents.
I get the argument, but then I guess the question is, well, actually no, because because Anakin, that's kind of the last time he was like himself before he became.
Yeah, well, that was the last time he was like on the part of the good side of the Force. Like that was the last time he was a Jedi. That was the last time he was a Jedi. And so, like, for him to become a Jedi immortal, he would return to. I like the idea that you can just pick, but like, if you're Obi-Wan, you're picking Gregor. You know what I mean? Like,
it is a choice that it's not. They didn't change it with Ewan McGregor.
But I really don't mind it. I quite like. I think it works. But yeah, I love it just as a part of the overall arc for Darth Vader. Just this film about like his influence from Luke, and about how Luke ultimately choosing not to kill his father, and would rather die as an ultimate sacrifice of being a Jedi, and is what brings like Anakin back for one last moment of like, not redemption, not total redemption. Of course, this guy slaughters children, but like a moment of like, sacrifice, like a moment of like, oh well, okay, well, it means so much for that overall arc as the character. At least to me, like at least when I watch the film, it's when it's not just the Skywalker Starker, it's the Vader Starker who's Anakin Skywalker. I understand that, but like, you know what I mean? Like it is like definitive. Like that's that arc wrapped up in a nice little bow, and it just as a character, like he is what Star Wars is about. He's the constant. So he's the representation of dark and light side of the Force, and redeemed by his son and a daughter, I guess, but like redeemed by his children, I think is so like awesome and powerful. But then like it also just does fuck ass boring stuff in a lot of the film, which it just seems like really you could have taken. There are times where I think you could have taken both Empire and Return and made one film, 1 2 hour film.
Yeah, because I think there's not really enough to justify like the two films between these two films.
Yeah, because a lot of that justification is made in the prequels anyway.
And also, Harrison Ford's not given a very good performance here.
Yeah, it's not their best. Han kind of like, it's good to have him back as a character, but it's kind of the least like it's kind of, but like in the dynamic between him and Leia, this is kind of Leia's movie, like really, like she takes much more of like a heroic leading role in this film, which I think is also a good thing. But it's Harrison Ford; he was the strongest part of your other two, so like yeah. But I always thought it really wasn't too like I could always be worse, but I really thought it was okay. Like I it's not without its faults, but I think it does a really good job of wrapping a bit of a bow on that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if this was the only Star Wars we got, I'd be pretty happy.
What 1, 2, what 4, 5, 6?
Yeah.
I disagree, but I get it. Like I get it. I understand. I just love the other stuff. I just love it. I just like it. It's I don't know. I grew up with this is boycore. Star Wars is boycore. Boys, girls, whoever, people, individuals can like, but it's kind of like childhood boycore, right? You know what I mean? It's like it's like we all fuck with Scuba Doo, we all fuck with Star Wars, we all fuck with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, you know, whether or not I fuck with them now, which I still do, they're kind of sick. It's like Transformers, where it's like these are kind of just like boy things. They're not boy things, but you know, like boys are more exposed to these things.
Do you want to put a rating on this one, or?
Yeah, I give it like a solid 8 out of 10. I think that, like, again, for what it does for the overall, what I'm valuing, and I said at the start of the episode, and what I value is like an overall arc across all of the films. It does a really good job of, I think, wrapping that up. Whether or not it can be a bit messy at points. We get Yoda's death as well, which is something that just like, which is not again like the Force Ghost, but like it's still like such a moment for that character, because we love that character, like he's fan favorite. But yeah, it's a solid 8 out of 10. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'd give it an 8 out of 10 as well. It's I mean, it's definitely the weakest of the original trilogy, but yeah, I do like it. It's just got far more noticeable problems that sort of impact my enjoyment in the way that arguably the first two do, but it doesn't bother me in a way it does with those films.
Yeah, that's a respectable. I mean, I literally gave it the same.
Yeah, maybe moving on. We've got the prequels, and I feel like we can kind of run through these ones a bit.
Maybe you can. No.
I mean, are you a fan of the prequels?
Oh, fuck yeah. And this is the thing. Like, you've been saying they're awful, and I've just observed, but I love the prequels. I really do. I love them just as much as I love the original trilogy. I can argue the original trilogy is better, but I love these. Like, the original trilogy is better, but I love these. For all their little faults, which is just a lot. And a lot of like political boring, like the taxing, but like how it's also a representation of like the current Western society. Like a big political point in this is about war starting over trading tariffs and taxing trades, taxing trade routes. What does that remind you of? Maybe the news. Maybe it's literally the fucking news. I was watching this, I was like, man, I cannot escape it. Like, I actually cannot escape this fucking hyper-serialized fiction world we live in. It's insane. But it's also kind of like, that's the one bit. Weirdly, I really think his political writing is the best, George Lucas, because he can't do romance. My God. And at least with, like, Attack of the Clones is like...
Oh, dude. Attack of the Clones is the worst Star Wars film.
Yeah. But, like, you know, you enter with Phantom Menace, though. Like we'll start with Phantom Menace. It's you don't really get fucking anything out of Anakin because he's old. And I will say this: my ability to tell Keira Knightley and Natalie Portman apart is almost non-existent. Like, they're in my head, they're identical. Like, I know this is all like white people look the same sort of rhetoric, but they do.
Well, it's okay because it's not racist against white people, so it's fine.
Yeah, but they also, like, I've never seen two actors who are different look so similar.
I know, it's really weird when they both have like the makeup on.
That's what I'm telling you. It's indistinguishable.
Indistinguishable, yeah. Which I did not expect.
Yeah, but also the dialogue in this film is the worst part. And yeah, there's Jar Jar Binks, who was comedy supposed to, and did you know he was supposed to be a Sith Lord? You know that was something that George Lucas was cooking up.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, that's genuinely I honest to God don't know how I feel about that. Like, if that had actually happened,
yeah.
If that was a thing that happened, I'm like,
it'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
But like, we also get. I really think we get some of the best moments in Star Wars period. I think Hayden Christensen in Revenge, and in moments,
This
but in
is
Revenge, he's so like, along with Ewan McGregor, like they're like it's so camp, but like it is so like, oh, Revenge is so good. But yeah, again, we're talking about Phantom, but yeah,
my thing with the. It's weird because most of the acting in these movies is not good. It's not good.
well, yeah, at least in the first two, your main like characters are children. Outside of Ewan McGregor, I'll argue that like it's not even the acting that isn't. I don't think is at fault. Like I think it's just the dialogue. Like I think it's
Mm,
they weren't really given anything great to work with, and not many people
mm.
were really combating George Lucas. The only person that was Harrison Ford, and he's not a part of these projects. I think,
Yeah.
to be fair though, Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn is just so good. He plays as a Jedi so fucking well. He has that stoicism. His death is like Phantom Menace and Qui-Gon Jinn dying and having it be Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is clearly not ready and ultimately fails Anakin as a Jedi Master, is like so good. I think the hubris of the Jedi Council, we're seeing the downfall of the Jedi in these films, not just the uprising of the Sith. And I think that that's something that also really needs to be and uprising of the Empire. Is like that's something that like we are seeing the downfall of the Jedi Council. It like politically crumbling, and yeah, some of the you've got to give the film credit for like groundbreaking like movements in computer graphics as well. Like this film kind of directly led to Pixar existing, which is kind of cool. These films, there are a really lot of like great things that come out of these films. If it just wasn't for the dialogue being really bad and like kind of really really bad at times, points where you're like, no living human being would save that, and then you just get to see the most choreographed lightsaber battles you've ever seen with amazing audio, and you're just like, oh, cool. Okay, this is Star Wars. I don't think Phantom's the strongest of the prequels, but I don't think it's the weakest. It's a really great introduction to the characters. Again, like this more focuses on showing us that the Jedi Council is flawed and that Obi-Wan might not be ready to take on Padawan, like to take on a Padawan. It's super important again for the next 2 episodes, but like it's the exact same. It's the exact same thing that we just talked about. Is that they don't wrap up as individual films.
I mean, yeah, I definitely don't think this is the worst. I mean, like I said before, Attack of the Clones is the worst Star Wars film, or a very solid contender for worst one. Yeah, Phantom Menace. I just don't. Like it's fine. It's just so like. No, it's not fine. It is bad. Even the good stuff kind of goes on too long. Like the pod race, that's a decent scene. It just goes on for too long.
Yeah, the pod race does, but I love the pod race scene. This is a film. The prequels are really for people that like kind of give a fuck about like that want more Star Wars, But if you're just like a general fan, you could probably get away with never watching the prequels. Like you could just
Yeah.
watch the Luke story, although the best story, the Star Wars story, is Anakin's story. So like, don't just watch the Luke story, but you could. Like, you absolutely could, and that's completely fine. I personally I love that, like the sort of build up of Anakin. The problem is and not the problem, but just Phantom isn't really about Anakin. Again, it's
Mhm.
about Obi-Wan, and I think that's really important. Obi-Wan is kind of the reason Darth Vader exists. Like in a sense. I think it does its job really well. I really wish we got more like Qui-Gon Jinn, to be honest. But you know, it is what it is. It's definitely a lot. Like I don't think it holds. I don't think it's as good as like any of the original trilogy, like this film. But it's not to say that it's directly bad. Again, we get no fucking Darth Maul either, but we get the with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn against Darth Maul with the double-ended like lightsaber. That's such a cool sequence. We get like a lot of really important world building, but really sets the tone for the prequels they prioritize. Which, like, if you're gonna say anything positive about like the prequels, you say three main things, and it's that the scores are great, the sound design is great, and the lightsaber battles are phenomenal. Like, I really don't think that it makes me struggle to rewatch the original trilogy sometimes when I'm watching the lightsaber because of how like stiff, because of how stiff, and like I understand, you know, it also represents like the characters being older Jedi who have aged, but like look at Yoda. Like the Force allows you to be that. It outshines the original trilogy in that way. So it's not funny.
I mean, is there anything you want to say on Phantom Menace, or
No, not directly. Like touched on pretty much most of it. Like Jar Jar's weird.
I honestly didn't hate Jar Jar that much on a
I
rewatch.
don't mind him. I don't mind him.
Like, he's
fine.
not great.
He's jarring as fuck, but I think he's fine.
He does not really fit, but he's also like the only thing with any real energy.
Yeah. Yeah, these are a bit more bland, darker, sort of, and awfully, again, political fucking movie. Like, you're a young kid. You don't care. You don't care about the Jedi Council's like political.
It's very fucking dry and boring.
Yeah, I can see that. If I was to give it a score out of, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. No, I give it a 6 out of 10. I think I think it's a completely fine opener. No, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I give it a 7 out of 10. Do I think it's the greatest film, Star Wars film? No, but it's definitely not the worst. And like I think it does a lot really well. I just would have loved to have seen more. Would have loved to have seen more of what they were like. Like again, I would have loved to have seen more Qui-Gon Jinn and more Darth Maul, and instead of it just being like the film's literally called Phantom Menace. It's like not really that in the fucking.
I'd give this one a 4 out of 10. It's very it's very bland, it's very dull. I don't feel good about saying this right now, but Jake Lloyd is not very good in this, and you know, I know he was bullied a lot for this film.
Yeah.
So I do have sympathy for him in that sense, but he is not good. He's not giving a good performance. And no one is really. Ewan McGregor maybe is alright, but you know. And then let's really run through these last two. Attack of the Clones.
All right, tell me why you hate it.
And are you gonna tell me you like this film?
Oh yeah, I like the movie. It's bad though. It's bad. Like it's bad, but I like it. You know why? Because it's kind of bad, but it's like, and you get some of the weirdest, worst romance between the two. But like in a way that I like. In a way that I
think
like.
the best way I can describe this film, that it sort of encapsulates my thoughts. I don't like sand. It's coarse, it's rough, it's irritating. It gets everywhere.
Okay.
And
okay.
then later on, he takes a handful of sand. It's just, I mean, the Padme Anakin. The thing with talking about Star Wars is everyone's fucking talking about Star Wars. There's really not that much more we can add to them because everybody fucking talks about it and everybody fucking knows it. But the Anakin Padme relationship is genuinely a contender for the worst relationship in any film. I think Natalie Portman is a great actor. I think Hayden Christensen is not. And the thing with Hayden Christensen is he's good when he doesn't have to say lines. I think he
I
does really well when he like emoting and like with his facial expressions, he's fantastic. He just cannot deliver lines of dialogue in a way that
okay,
makes me take him seriously.
yeah, I can see that. That is fair. But fuck, he's just like I just I like it. Like he kind of I don't know, but like if anything is going to be camp, Star Wars is supposed to be camp, and he is like, yeah, he's just fun to watch. I can't tell you why. I really just love him as Anakin. I think obviously his visual acting is, I actually think is quite good. Yes, yeah, he doesn't read lines the best. I will concede that, but he might be 6 out of 10 at reading lines, but he's reading lines that I'm not even shitting you a 1 out of 10. So he's never really given a chance to like really show off his chops. I think I think he's fine in some of these other films like Jumper and stuff. Yeah, like we also get Mace Windu with purple lightsaber, Samuel L. Jackson, and we get like real Samuel L. Jackson moments in this. We get the whole Jango Fett, Boba Fett. I think it builds the world a lot. Again, a lot more fun. I love the contrast between light and dark when they're on that water-based planet, and they've got the aliens, and Obi-Wan is in there. I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. I love sort of seeing like the way that he treats Anakin and how negative it is, grates him, and he doesn't really treat him in the Jedi way, which is like a real just shows how not ready Obi-Wan was for this, and how he sort of through their relationship creates Anakin,
Mm.
by mistreating him and by playing obviously it's Emperor Palpatine who plants seeds of doubt in Anakin, but Obi-Wan is absolutely watering those seeds. He is not, he's failing Anakin. He is jealous of his power, and it is so clearly played through their dialogue and relationship. I do think one of the weakest film is the Anakin Padme relationship. And I think one of the strongest is the Anakin Obi-Wan. I really love seeing that sort of immaturity and jealousy and spitefulness out of Obi. And basically until Anakin saves his life directly, and then they seem to be buddy buddy, but he seems to always be sort of regretful that Anakin's jumping in. He's never he seems threatened by Anakin's power rather than nurturing it. And these are all things that are why and play into the larger narrative of how Obi-Wan failed Anakin and how he's ultimately redeemed by not failing Luke. Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship is kind of the core, although a lot of the conflict is Anakin's conflict is by Padme, who again brought a good strong female lead for girls to look up to, except for the weird relationship stuff with Anakin, and their relationship is very the dialogue is written so poorly, but sure, it is an absolute knock on. I'm not, but every time I watch it, I'm watching it almost purely for that Obi Anakin, and then again, I Samuel L. Jackson is great in whatever he's in. He's another one of those actors where it's this role's for Samuel, not getting George Lucas to literally rewrite the lore of Star Wars just so he can have a lightsaber. That's awesome. Outside of that, it doesn't really have many redeeming qualities. I agree with you. I think that it pacing is off. It's a little confusing. We also get the first dual Bates sort of hint while Anakin is riding around on the space motorbike thing, and that's awesome. But like, yeah, I thought Attack of the Clones, is definitely the weakest one. That whole the teenage era of like really needed to almost be perfect, and it wasn't, and that's why I think the prequels. Also, this film relies a lot more on CGI, but again, it's when CGI really finding its footing. So it was on groundbreaking technology that was still being used. Like I really think that there are absolute shining moments. But yeah, I'd say by and large, as a Attack of the Clones does a pretty job as a standalone film.
I mean, I mentioned earlier, I think the sound design is great.
Oh yeah, of course, but that's a
It's
constant through the
that's a
whole.
constant. Yeah, same with the music as well. Um, I think that there are some decent enough moments in it. Like I think some like there's some like I think the duel between Dooku and Anakin and Obi-Wan is decent. I'm not a big fan of the Yoda stuff because it just looks so
Yeah,
fake that it's
yeah. This is
like
the first like large deviation away from puppets completely, and yeah,
yeah,
it does. It definitely looks different. Like
yeah,
it doesn't look close to what we knew as like how it should.
yeah, and that's just kind of the problem, really. It's just that thing of like it just looks so artificial. That's the
Yeah,
thing. And yeah, I don't hate it. I don't know. Yoda is a character I feel like never should have had used the the Force. Like, well, not use the Force, use the lightsaber. Like, I feel like he just isn't a character who needed to. Like, it kind of feels like he's almost beyond needing a lightsaber.
yeah, but I
Um,
actually like I like battles. I really do. I like how it's sort of it brings more depth to that like initial question that Luke has for him in the initial trilogy, where he asks if his size has ever been an issue or mattered in a battle,
yeah,
and I quite like that actually. Like it like addresses that at least. They kind of do that rarely with these sort of like they'll throw in lines of and then not address it and not bring it up later. And it's like that's something you probably expanded on.
I mean, yeah, it's also all the clone troopers, for example, they're all CGI, and it just
Yeah,
at a certain point looks a bit like yeah, there's just too much CGI in all of these prequels. That's the thing. They really did away with um the practical effect.
they really went for computer graphics, and it's something that they probably did it just a bit too early on for a large feature length, like a bit too
Yeah,
early on in the lifespan of computer graphics. But you also can't hate for break new ground. Like this film helped with the development of that so severely.
yeah,
It was like a
yeah,
sacrifice. It kind of sacrificed itself to the betterment of computer graphics, but like it didn't have to. It just chose to
yeah,
do it. So that's not like
yeah.
a stable like. So yeah, ultimately, like I don't know. If I was to give like Attack of a score out of 10, I'd give it I was going to give it a 6, and that's only because I actually like pretty much almost. I like almost all of it except for the, and I know this is hard to say, except for the dialogue and like like a lot of mostly the dialogue that Hayden Christensen says, like especially Anakin's dialogue, really poor. Like with Padme, that's not how you talk to women. I don't understand. I don't know what Lucas like if he thinks he's writing Anakin suave. Anakin's not suave. Although there are nice like genuine chemistry moments between like the two characters on screen, like when they're playing around in the field and that and the rest of it. It's quite nice.
I would give it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just yeah, I don't get any like so bad it's good enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to defend these films, by the way. I'm not trying to like. I'm just kind of stating but like I fully understand. Like you giving it a 3 out of 10 to me is justifiable. Like I kind of get it.
But yeah, I give it a 3, and it is the worst Star Wars film. There is a certain film that we will cover next week that I haven't rewatched yet that I will determine if that does end up being my least favorite, because it's the contender for the worst Star Wars film. But we'll talk about that next week. And then we've got Revenge of the Sith. Sorry, it's very late when we're recording this. We've been recording for ages, so apologies if I seem vaguely um out of it. Yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like everyone kind of agrees this is the best prequel film.
I kind of think it's the second, almost first best Star Wars film.
To be fair, there's a lot of people who love this film and think it's the best. There was someone who I did a film course with, and he said this was his favorite film of all time, and I was like,
it's honestly up there for me. Like Revenge of the Sith. If you're an Anakin guy, like if you're someone who really fucks with the Anakin story arc, like I do, then like this is the best for that. This is so it's so like it's such a climax of it. Like it's the birth of Anakin and the death of it's the birth of Darth Vader, the death of Anakin, the death of Padme. There's an argument, like the whole thing and where like he died, like his heart stops for 12 seconds and like he actually
I mean,
the Force. He
I
didn't realize he's using the Force to take the life from Padme. I think that's awesome.
I was just gonna ask, what do you think of the whole she died of a broken heart?
She didn't die of a broken heart. I genuinely believe
That's what the movie says. So look, I would absolutely rather believe that. Because I do really love that as an idea that Palpatine is using essentially her life force to keep Anakin alive. I think that's really a great idea. I just don't. It's just not in the film as it is, so it's just sort of feels like, well,
that's the thing. I think a lot of the prequels
that's kind of the problem.
Justifying it with
retroactively saying, "Oh, it's this" when it's not, and that's just kind of the problem for me. Is it feels like a lot of the best stuff in these films is kind of just retroactively
it's justified by theories from fans, which is something that happens for kind of exclusively the prequels, and it's a weird thing, and it's a testament to George Lucas's bad writing. I think that like the fact that he's the really devout fans are saying it's good because what about this theory and that theory. I know that in the film they say she dies of a broken heart, and I do like in my personal headcanon, I love the theory that Palpatine uses her life force. But even though she dies of a broken heart, Jedis are known for speaking in tongues in a weird way. Like the whole Anakin, your father was killed by Darth Vader. It's technically kinda because you speak in metaphors and they do. But she just simply just didn't want to live anymore. The love of her life, the father of her two children, is a Sith. Who after one of the best, genuinely some of the best, the best performances we get in all the Star Wars out of Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. Absolute aura farming at the top of the ramp, which is one of my favorite things that has ever come out of But Anakin, Hayden Christensen, especially in this movie, and Anakin, this is Vader. This is the birth of Vader. It's such.
This is the thing. This is what this entire trilogy was for. It was to get to this moment, to Anakin being, and like I said before, I think Anakin is Hayden Christensen. He's a great actor when he's not delivering dialogue, his facial expressions. There's a great moment where he's on Mustafar towards the end of the film, and he's in the hood, and he's just got the single tear running down. He's like,
Oh,
when he's not having to deliver lines of dialogue, he's a legitimately very, good actor. It's just, and to be fair, it might also just be because this is George Lucas dialogue.
but yeah, I
Um,
think it's a bit George Lucas dialogue. It's also like I'm not gonna say it's not because I love this film. Don't get me wrong, and I love it so much. Some of like it's got the best moments in Star Wars. Like through like again, almost specifically all on Mustafar as well. Like
yeah,
also the whole like
I
execute Order 66. That is
yeah
such a fucking iconic moment. It's so cool.
yeah
You
I
see
love
Yoda just clutch up.
yeah. One of my favorite bits in the whole film is when Anakin, he just goes to Mustafar and he just fucking kills like the Viceroy and shit. Like he just kills all those fucking like. Also, we haven't really mentioned this, the racism, like
Yeah,
with the Viceroy having the. I when I rewatched Phantom Menace, I was like, oh, it is actually as pronounced as like genuinely it. I forgot how pronounced it was, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, that's really
not great.
that's really bad actually. And look, I don't believe George Lucas is like a racist.
It's world building.
It's I I just think I really don't know what the idea was for that, because
I
I was
actually think
like,
the idea was world building. It just came off really.
it comes across, well, racist.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it kind of is.
And it's
But
just, yeah, I think this is it, easily the best of the prequels, and it's got some great stuff in it, like the Mustafar duel. Some of it is just ridiculous. It is just insane, and it is truly
you were like
like
a
look,
brother to me, Anakin.
there are just bits where the characters are just aura farming for no reason. There's like those scenes where there's like this where they're on those like little platforms and they're just floating and they're not doing anything. They're just fucking standing there with their lightsabers out as it's moving across the fucking.
It's awesome. It's awesome though. It's like as much as that is like a plot thing, it is so fucking cool. Like it
Oh
is so
yeah,
Instagram edit cool. Like the amount of times I've seen an Anakin Skywalker turning into Darth Vader edit, and it's like shoot the lights out, because it's like the intro to
yeah,
Monster, because that's such
and
a cool fucking
oh,
evil
the
theme.
Kanye's monster. And there is that bit that is so dumb, but I don't really hate it, when Anakin and Obi-Wan, they're dueling, and then there's just a bit where they just swing their lightsabers around for no reason. Like the lightsabers aren't
Yeah,
touching; they just swing them around their body for no reason. Like again, that's just so stupid. But it's like, I
but
don't know. It's just kind
the,
of fun.
their physical chemistry is the strongest relationship. Their dynamic, like their
Yeah,
dynamics, like lightsaber battles. Do you understand the amount of times, William, I have held a toy lightsaber and have directly quoted Obi-Wan this entire Mustafar sequence? Honestly, like the entire third act of the film is,
could you? Would
I
you be
really
like,
think, the best third act in Star Wars. It is so like, except for the parts where Anakin's like, "You lied, you betrayed me," and I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, Hayden Christensen, like, really, you lied to me, and I'm like, okay, well, like, you don't know, some people ugly cry, you ugly talk,
yeah?
but
And to
like,
be honest, I'm all for ugly cries in movies because it just feels more real.
yeah, but like it definitely
But
feels like,
I mean, there's the very infamous "only a Sith deals in absolutes."
which is an absolute,
Yeah,
but
it's a common. It's like, yeah. Look, I don't really like. It's just
but that shows
so,
that like even Obi-Wan now still doesn't quite understand.
yeah,
Like he doesn't quite get it. And also, and that's the point, is like Obi-Wan is not a good Jedi. Like he just isn't. And the fact that he's able to hold his own in this battle, like at Anakin really at the peak of his powers, is like something that I think is so cool. Like, and his biggest strength is knowing that Anakin is stronger. Like that's the biggest advantage that Obi-Wan has, is that he knows like the power scales of each other. but it's so just like, you're like a brother to me. It's so powerful. It's that culmination of that relationship and that Anakin sort of storyline that I think is like works so well, and I really think it is such a good third act to what was kind of disappointing prequels, if you could argue.
Yeah,
Like
I think
it feels like
I
you've made a really shitty chocolate milk, but you've put like real good whipped cream on top. You know?
I think the thing for me is this is my sort of take on it. I think people love Revenge of the Sith so much that they kind of retroactively put that across the other two
Yeah,
prequels.
I absolutely agree. I reckon I do. Like I do because the other two prequels in my head, I'm like, well, they all eventually play into Revenge of the Sith, but Revenge of the Sith is the best of them. Like it
Oh yeah,
so is, and it's better, and I think it's easily better than like the Return of the Jedi. You can make an argument about whether it's better than A New Hope or Empire. That's really up to you. But like for me personally, I think it's better than Return. Like I actually think it's better than.
I could maybe get that. I think there are problems with Return of the like, to be honest, I think Return of the Jedi, a big part of that is, do you fuck with the Ewoks? Like, are you okay with them being in it or not? Like, that's a big part of that
Yeah,
film, I think. And it's a big stumbling block for a lot of people, to be honest. And I don't hate the Ewoks because they're not
because you
actually
can.
that. I don't think the Ewoks are that bad.
I like them. I fuck with them. I don't understand why people don't. It's something that I never quite got. Where it's like I can get almost every other single criticism of these films, but I'm like the Ewoks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a bit plushy bait, but like who
But
cares?
also, like, it's saying that, like, anyone can rise up to fucking, fascist,
Yeah,
like it's an inspiring message. And to be honest, I think it would have worked better than if they did it with Wookiees. Because Wookiees are fucking, as they say, they rip arms off.
yeah, and
Like that's
also
like
we kind of needed a forest because we've had every other biome. So
yeah,
like,
we kind of it was the only biome. That is true though. Are there no forests in any of the other the original trilogy?
I mean, Dagobah is a swamp, but it's
It's a
like a swamp
swamp, yeah, that
forest.
doesn't really count.
There are other planets that are discussed as like nature loving, and then some in the prequels. They go on that like they go to like the retreat and stuff, but it's not like a I mean, our first exposure to it is Return anyway, so like it's the first time that they
Yeah,
did.
I've
But
never
like,
really thought about that. Is that there's no
well, that's
forest
what I
in the
mean.
other
Like
two
I
original
love it.
trilogy. That's really, that's really interesting. I
But,
honestly had never thought about that before.
but it's like a living environment. That's what I was saying. It's Dagobah. And like that's why I them is because like Star Wars can often feel very much like a cold set. Like a lot of the time, especially when you're in the ships and some of the rooms, and like a lot
Yeah,
of it takes place in like big green screen environments. Being able to like sort of put it, like be in a living environment for these films, like
yeah,
there's dirt and there's like
yeah,
trees and bushes and leaves and
yeah,
stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's like it's like it's cool. There's like life in this universe that they're
yeah.
fighting for as well, which I quite enjoy. But like I think it's the more direct, like, oh, let's stick to more space stuff because yeah, it's Star Wars. But like those fans are the ones that I think we don't really fuck with the Ewok. Like,
Also, I think the Order 66 scene is great.
yeah, do it. Yeah,
I mean, the music in that scene especially is great. And just seeing these Jedi get just killed for like a good couple
yeah,
minutes is, yeah,
and it's the
I
first
think,
time that like because Jedi describes so powerful too that it's like,
yeah,
oh, the Empire is like the Jedi is fallen. Like,
yeah, and I think that's really, yeah, great. Also General Grievous, very weird, sort of
I preferred him in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the best of the prequels by far. Um, I also I just want to quickly mention Anakin's turn to the dark side feels a bit rushed.
I
Like,
disagree. I disagree. I like you see moments. You absolutely see moments in Attack of the Clones where like he does it. You can like see that it lives within him, and that force is pulling him each which way, and he could really go either. Like I think they really set a lot of it up in Attack of the Clones that they don't even talk about. But yeah, then he does just start murdering children. So
yeah,
like
yeah.
there's a
Oh, and there's
it definitely jumps a heap, but like
yeah. It's not that that hasn't been set up. It just doesn't feel quite adequate enough.
oh yeah, he goes from being like Dark Force to being Space Hitler. So
Yeah. Nah, I'm not.
yeah,
Yeah.
like in one thing, like obviously and but that's what's so like for the faults that he has in his writing, the choice of the line of like he is too powerful to keep alive or too dangerous to be kept alive
Mm.
is so fucking sick that when like Mace Windu goes back to that and he goes, he's too bad, he's like too dangerous to be kept alive, and that was the moment that Anakin realized that there was no difference between the Jedi Council and the Sith anymore. That the Jedi had fallen. That the Jedi Code, which was at this point the only thing keeping Anakin from becoming a Sith Lord to protect Padme, and I mean ultimately, yeah, he ends up fulfilling his prophecy. But like he, it's so cool. Like there's so much being able to call back to that felt like such a big deal for George Lucas because like that was the best bit of writing he's ever done, and and like everything else is like he struggled. I feel like
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, I don't hate it. I actually think on the whole it's quite there's elements that are really good. It's easily the best of the prequels. I mean, I give it a decent 7 out of 10. I actually think it's not bad.
yeah, fair enough. Me personally is I'm giving it a 9. I kind of want to give it a 10, but like, I think it's better than A New Hope and Empire? Like, no, but like, I can't describe how much this one specifically makes me geek out about Star Wars. Everything else I don't really care, but this is the one that like always hit me as a kid and as a teenager, and it was the one that like I was like, yeah, this is the badass moment in the story. That's why, like, recently, if you realize that the prequels all had a bit of a rebirth with the recent, like, 20-year anniversaries that have been coming out, like, and people started to definitely give their prequels. I was so happy because I was like, I really think that at least Sith is a good one. But yeah, I give it. I do really like this film. Like for its faults, it's got its faults, but I personally, I just
That is part 1 of this Star Wars retrospective look. Next week is going to be the Disney Star Wars. So that will be The Force Awakens, Rogue One, The Last Jedi, Solo, and Rise of Skywalker. And we're also going to touch on The Mandalorian because we are doing this down to the list of Mandalorian and Grogu, which we will also sort of talk about based on
this
what
was
we know. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't. I mean, I haven't talked. We haven't really talked about this, but I'm not expecting a whole lot from this Mandalorian and Grogu film. I'm gonna be honest.
yeah. I'm not. Look, we'll probably touch on it a bit more in the next episode. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not like I'm gonna go watch it. I'm keen. It's a Star Wars thing, but I feel like that's
Yeah,
the attitude towards Star Wars thing now. It's just like, it's the new Star Wars, so I'll watch it. But
yeah, that's yeah.
but like this was also not only are we covering films now. This episode is very special. In fact, is going to be the last one that I talk positively about Star Wars. Like relatively. They're definitely like not blanket, but yeah.
You and I, from my memory, have very different opinions on some of the recent Star Wars projects.
Yeah. Disney era.
Disney, yeah. So yeah, we will.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
fun.
it's going to be
I'll
interesting because I feel like we're
have
going to
like a
swap
Red
roles.
Bull. Yeah.
I feel like we might swap roles a bit.
Yeah.
But that's the end of this week's episode. Have you sort of got any final things you want to say this week, Harry, for this week's episode, Harry? Or
Not no, not really. Just we're gonna next week's gonna be fun, so definitely tune in.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how we end up with what happens. Yeah, because we're definitely gonna disagree, and it's gonna be it'll be interesting. Because also, I haven't revisited a lot of those Disney Star Wars films. Like, I've seen some of them. I've seen the one time, and that was kind of enough for me. So we'll
Fair
see
enough. Yeah. Get a
what
bit of
we.
rewatching.
Yeah, it might as well. Because these ones we've covered this week, I've seen them like more than enough times where it's like I didn't really need to. I wanted to rewatch the prequels because I originally had episodes 1 and 2 as 2 out of 10s, and I was like, that's probably a bit harsh.
Yeah,
I'll watch those again. Um, and I was definitely being a bit harsh on those. But yeah, thank you all for listening. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you, Harry, once again for joining me this week.
Thank you once again for having me this week.
I hope you've all enjoyed listening, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.